Well, good morning, folks. Interesting thing has developed. Bob Vogel has responded to this whole situation and issued a statement on Facebook. Limited the comments on it, unfortunately, but did issue a statement. We're going to go through what Bob said, and then we'll talk about it. All right, here's his statement. With all the talk and speculation about me, I feel I now really need to make a statement. 7 to 8 months ago, I met a girl on a dating website who presented herself as 19, who presented herself there as 19 years old and stated numerous times she was 19. There's a lot of proof here. I simply believed her and took her at her word. We went out a few different times and had fun. We did normal things two people do. After this, an odd situation happened where she got in a fight with her friend and the police were called. During this, I learned from authorities she was actually 17. I was shocked. In the process, my phone was taken and I never saw the girl again. Over 6 months went by without a word, and then out of nowhere they came and I was arrested. Looking back, obviously, I wish I had never entered into the situation. I do feel, though, I was not just mistaken, but I was purposely deceived about the age gap that separates a normal activity from an activity that is highly illegal. I take responsibility for the situation I'm in and realize many hold that against me or have some moral problem with it, but I do not feel I committed any crime and have a clear conscience about the single incident this is all about. I have learned more than ever. The law is very much a game, though, and often a play on words. My hope is it comes down to a little more common sense and gut feeling. This has been, without question, the biggest nightmare situation of my life. There are, of course, more details, but no one will find anything I said here not to be true. And those are the main points I feel. There will always be a lot of haters, but with so many misleading headlines and gossip, I had to make this statement. All right, so pretty interesting statement from Bob. It does, it starting to get a picture here, and it makes more sense, what is going on. So, reading this, I mean, he's right. Obviously, a lot of people are just would want to send him up or hose him because of the ages involved, irrespective of the law. And that is, that's a fact. People really don't like this stuff. He's right that a lot of people are going to hold this against him. I would suspect, the statements of fact that he made, the hard, this thing happened. I would suspect that kind of stuff happened. But there's a lot that's left out of this, of course. You're just well, how did the police get called to a fight that doesn't involve you and they end up taking your phone? What happened? What do you mean? They're coming to a fist fight and they end up grabbing this guy's phone over here. There's more to it, of course. And then there's probably I don't think he knows exactly what on the other side the investigators are looking at. But, of course, very interesting that Bob posted that. I mean, I'm sure his lawyer would not tell him to do that. Let's go to your comments on that because I just shared this up to Facebook. He had great legal advice. State must prove he knew she was underage, especially if she looked older, and she presumably lied about her age to be able to be on a dating app. It's the app responsibility not to allow minors in. Some apps demand ID. Yeah, see, I don't think this is right. That comment. I just don't think that's right. I don't think they have to prove that he knew that. I don't think it matters legally that she lied in most states. I just don't think it matters. One comment. I'm sure Bob's attorney is loving this. Yeah, it's oh my God. Oh, why is this old dude trying to meet 19-year-old girls? Yeah, and that's where most people are going to be at. It'd be you play stupid games, win stupid prizes is what most people would say. Another comment, doesn't match the charges. Correct. The most obvious is disruption of public services, which he says nothing on. Never mind the fact his vague defense, to use his word, odd. They went out different times and did normal things two people do. Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I presume they did the sex thing. Like presumably that they did that. That would be normal, especially for Bob. Uh 19 is still extremely sus. Yeah, obviously. Maybe he should not have said anything, not saying he's guilty or innocent, but this can only hurt him and gives the prosecution ammo. I don't know. To be honest, I don't think it really matters to most people what Bob says at this point. Um, and over the long term, it doesn't matter. Like, doesn't matter what happened. Like the legal part of it, he could beat the charges, and to most people, he's cooked. Like, no matter what, because they don't. It doesn't matter if he only engaged in legal behavior. Like they just don't like it, and for obvious reasons. All right. I've never been okay with older dudes waiting for young ladies to come of legal age. It's fucking weird because it means you found her attractive as a child, which in this case you clearly did because all this means is you might have waited a year for her to turn 18 and to get the green light. That shit ain't it. I don't care what the legal age is. I literally thought it was weird that my little sister's friends like me and she's only 2 years younger than me. Yeah, I mean, this is like that's gonna be the mood of the public, I think, is they don't care too much if it was technically legal behavior. They just don't like the behavior. Again, for pretty obvious reasons. LOL, isn't the guy in his mid 40s? Why is he talking to a 19-year-old girl in the first place? Yeah, okay. Screw him. You're 43 years old. Why are you even acknowledging someone who could be that close? Stick to a woman 10 years of your own age and you're safe. You just bailed out on felony charges and you're posting, I take full responsibility on social media. What's the difference between a confession and an admission? Nothing. There's always more to the story. I'd be surprised if there wasn't in this case. One comment, he just cooked himself. I think he's cooked either way. Just because you aren't convicted of a crime doesn't mean you didn't do anything wrong, or in this case, wrong and gross. Yeah, look, I don't think there's not going to be a lot of sympathy with people. Again, obvious reasons. Really interesting that Bob responded. It's starting, starting to build a picture. I did correctly predict last night when I put out the video saying, like, I think they took his phone. And they did. The real question is, like, why? What? I mean, there's more to it, of course, right? There's stuff that wasn't talked about. Look, how did that get in the mix? And other questions like that. Aside from that, just like, yes, we're starting to see a picture here. Man, it just keeps getting more interesting, doesn't it? It really does.